mortgage protection.
Turning my microphone to work. You can welcome everybody.
Hear me?
No, I know who you just said.
I said I'm trying to get my microphone to work here, so welcome everybody.
Okay.
I think it's working now. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hey guys,
Everybody's ready for Detroit?
Hello.
Welcome to the call.
Hi, Angela.
Hi, how are you?
It looks like you got cold.
I have terrible allergies and I get the sneezes and I hopefully it'll pass.
I got a toothache that's driving me nuts. I gotta
Oh
go to
no.
Yeah, always fun.
Hello, can you hear me?
We got you. We
Hello?
got you.
Okay.
We're going to rifle through some of this information tonight, guys. So what I want to do is talk to everybody about a few things, clarify a few things. Before I get too far ahead of myself, the CQS sheet needs to be revised. I discovered it on that CQS sheet is an email we're no longer using. But I hope everybody understands that we've always said to go ahead and text that. I wouldn't email it, especially if you're in virtual, because we're not always, the email that's on that is a business email. We're not always checking our business email at night and on the weekend. So the best process for that CQS sheet is to text it. And if you're, it's the same we've always done when it comes to the trainings. Is I would put Angela and myself on a group text, easy to do. If you're on an iPhone, if you're on an Android, I don't know. You have to figure that out. I don't know anything about Androids. I do have one right here. I pay monthly for it. Never use it. We bought it, Angela. At one time we were trying to do FaceTime on Android devices. Then we discovered we could do it on a computer. So that was a 2-year contract. Anyhow, so but I wanted to talk to you about everybody's. Thank you, Johnny, Stephen. Got your backgrounds going there. We get a lot of questions on some of you guys are getting ready to roll into doing some appointments, and the backgrounds that I've seen on some, and I'm not mentioning any names, the last couple of weeks are I would want you to kind of relook at those backgrounds and you look at yourself and say, hey, if someone called me with that background and I was doing a virtual presentation, would I consider him legit? Would I be willing to give him my credit card and my bank account number? And so we want to kind of move in that direction, because a couple of you already are buying leads and moving towards appointments. And shout out to Shanita, who is bought her first couple of batches of leads this week and is dialing and setting appointments for looking for her first appointment. So I love the action taking. It's very good. I mean, the only way you can get there is taking action. Trust me, I've been in the same place as I've told you guys before. Even though I've been in this industry off and on for 40 plus years, the lead space in running leads was a different scenario. So many of you guys, don't get that, which is something I can share just for about 2 minutes. Is that I kind of came in this industry opposite of what you did, right? We get a lot of people that think the only path to success, Stephen, is running lead. It's not the only path. It's one of the paths to success. And I would caution any of you that, it's the same with the Debt Free for Life program. Is you can, I've been running in the top 10 since last August as a producer. But again, that all came from running leads. And as soon as we went through a lead vendor change in Debt Free for Life, I couldn't get access to leads for 60 days. I fell off the leaderboard because I wasn't working my warm market, and I wasn't getting referrals from any of you folks for warm market clients. And so we had a great call today amongst the leadership, regional managers and whatnot, about that same subject. So I'm going to try to play that later in the call because I think we're all missing the boat, and I'm not going to get too far into that. But my point was, I came into it a different way. Many of you that we have conversations with throughout the week just don't have are not comfortable or don't have a clue. And we talked about this a few weeks ago, so it's kind of setting back a few weeks what we already had talked about, and that is how to create warm market, cold market business. Leads are not the only way to generate appointments in this business. In fact, I'd never had leads until the last 12 years when leads became a reality. Up until that point, I was in the insurance business for 25 plus years, and we were all working. We learned how to work our warm market. We learned how to ask questions. We learned how to knock on doors. We learned how to use the phone book. I know all these things are just foreign to many of you, but leads to me were just the opposite. You guys come in this thing and go, oh my God, I can't afford to buy leads. I want to buy 10 leads at a time, or $25 a week in a lead budget. And if I can't afford to buy leads, then can I succeed? Absolutely, you can, because that's how I did it. I did it for 30 years, right? So you just had to get comfortable. Now, some people are natural at that. Have the outgoing personality, like Johnny is. He's already in sales. He's meeting with people every day, so he has that kind of a personality. But it's a learned skill, okay? And many times, and he's shaking his head. I think many times what forces you to learn a new skill is desperation. I've always found that I'm the most creative person when I'm desperate. When when they're coming to get the car, Johnny, you know what I'm saying? When suddenly life becomes very simple. It's like, okay, the tow truck is on the way to the house. They're going to take my car from me if I don't make a payment by next Tuesday or whatever it is. Okay, but that from in that moment and next Tuesday, the only thing I'm thinking about is how I get the money to make that payment so that tow truck doesn't come to the house. Life becomes very simple. It's no longer cloudy. I'm not balancing all these other things. I'm focused on one task, which is to make sure my car doesn't get repoed. Look, I can talk about that forever because that's my life motto. I mean, I've been around a while, and the times I have the most success is when I remove all other options, and I have one goal. And I work every day trying to go after that one goal. It's all these other things. Life gets in the way, right? I mean, we live in a very busy world. We got all this garbage coming at us. I'm in an argument right now with my grandkids because they never unplug. They want to get this thing in their ear. If they're not on a phone call, they're doing TikTok, or they're doing Facebook, or they're listening to music. When do you ever have time to quiet your mind and listen and allow your mind to talk to you, right? Receive input. That's when you're the most creative. That's when you come up with the greatest ideas, Johnny, right? I mean, when your mind is talking to you. If you're always got music blasting in your ears or some other device talking to you, when can you ever learn anything? So anyway, it's not. I don't know why that has nothing to do with insurance, but it does in reality. So my point to you is that we've got to kind of step back and say, hey, look, there are three methods of success in this business. Okay, number one, warm market. If you haven't gone after your warm market yet, then you really shouldn't be buying leads. Here's how I want you to look at leads. Leads are powerful. I'm not trying to talk down leads, but many of you don't have a good enough lead budget to work enough lead or buy enough lead to create any kind of momentum. That's the thing. Okay. So, I mean, we talk about, we had a call for a year, the DCC, and through that call, I think Johnny, you were on some of those calls. We went on every day for a year. It's like the round table that we have today, but it was the DCC back then, daily coaching call. And through that call, we found out that, you know, there's a success in leads is on minimum, not, and this is where it's really non-negotiable. And I'm not trying to tell you guys, I'm not trying to get you all to quit. But again, what happens is the average producer, and it was having success, was spending $500 a week on leads. Okay, it didn't matter what type of leads it was. The number was 500. You could buy 10 A at the time. You could buy 10 A leads, $50 a piece on the average. You'd be at 500, or you could buy 100 B leads at $6 and be at 600. Right? I always, this is a writer downer because I've got this question several times this week. When you're brand new, I wouldn't be buying A leads at $74 a piece or $47 for IVRs. You don't have enough. You're learning. You need more swings at bat because you're going to swing and miss, right? You're going to strike out. And it's hard. It's very hard to succeed in this business striking out on $75 leads, folks. I don't want you doing that. I didn't do that. Actually, I did because we didn't have B leads. We didn't have A leads, age leads back then. But I wouldn't recommend you do it. I'm just trying to be honest with you and be transparent. I would be working. The reason why we say we work the B leads is you can get $6 and $7 leads, direct mail leads. You can get them from Equis or Integrity, or you can get them from LeadCo, right? And if you do that, here's the problem. Most people say, okay, $6 leads, fantastic. I can make $5,000 a week. You're not going to make $5,000 a week with $6 leads if you're buying 10 a week. Okay, you need volume. It's the law of large numbers, and we talk about this a lot. But I seem to have to repeat myself. I think many of you think I'm kidding when I say it. The law of low numbers is never going to be good. Okay, because you don't have enough leads to create any kind of momentum. We talked about this on our first and second call. If you're buying 25 leads, Angela, Josh is not on the call yet, but if you're buying 25 leads, Stephen, I mean, you could be done those leads in half hour. Years ago, there was a commercial on TV. You probably don't remember it. I'm probably too old for you guys to even bring it up. There's a guy used to, there was a thing called Arnold's Rug. He had one rug for sale. He was a rug store. He had one rug to sell. And when he sold that rug, he was out of business. That's the problem with leads. Okay, if you only got 10 or 15 or 20 leads, you can be done in a half hour. And here's the thing, folks. When you're working age leads, they're not sitting around waiting for you to call. They're not. They probably already talked to somebody. They may have already bought from somebody. You have to get good at that replacement conversation, like we talked about a couple weeks ago. I don't have time to go into that again, but that's the key. When you're working aged leads, you are looking for the low-hanging fruit. You do not care, and you should not concern yourself with the ones that say, "Don't ever call me again. I hate you. And, you're a scammer. Goodbye." Who cares? You're looking for the ones that say, "Hey, I'm glad you called," or "Hey, I'd love to save some money." You're not looking for all the other knuckleheads that think you're a scammer. If you get yourself bogged down with those kind of people, you'll get depressed. You won't get through your leads. It'll take you 3 days to call 25 leads. Josh and Angela don't do that. They're getting berated on their phones when they're texting, and they don't even look at the lead. They don't even look at the text. They're busy setting up their day. They're looking for the yeses. They're looking for the guy that says, "Hey, 4:30 is fine." "Oh, I got one. I've been to the car with Angela. You guys, hang on. I'm talking to the lead. I'm talking to the lead." So she's been sending out those texts. She's looking for the ones that bite the hook. If you've been on any of my calls, you heard me say, they'll throw the line in the water. I don't have the boat terminology, Stephen. If you know anything about boats, help me out here. But there's left, right, north, and south, right? Throw the line in all four sides of that boat. Front, back, port, whatever it is.
Fore and
left
aft.
to right. Say again?
Fore and aft. Fore and aft. Yeah.
Somewhere the fish are biting.
Yeah.
And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that fish that hits the hook. I don't know what it is, what you said, or how you looked, or what your background was, but they hit the line over here, didn't hit the line over here. I don't get all off track. But remember, it's law of large numbers. That's why we say when you're brand new, you've got to be working volume because you're learning. You're going to make mistakes. If you're working age leads, you've got to be working volume because we already know they've already talked to somebody most likely. They may have already bought. You're looking for the guy that was on vacation when the agent that got the lead, the A lead first, was on vacation. You never called them, and they are out there. You are going to run across somebody who says, "Hey, I turned that in a year ago. What took you so long to call? But it's rare. Okay, so just understand that. So again, warm market, cold market, and leads. But I would stress to you again. The reason why I went off on a tangent is you've got to get, regardless if you're going to work leads, you've got to be comfortable and you got to get good at working warm market and get good at working cold market. Striking a conversation up with just anybody, anywhere. Look, it's the old form: family, occupation, recreation, message. Form, network marketing days, right? When you walk up to somebody, hey, Johnny, or he's working in your house. I do this all the time, a contractor. He's working, I had a contractor here today in my house, right? Hey, man, you married? Everybody wants to talk about themselves. What's in it for me? The favorite radio station, right? What's in it for me? So yeah, I'm married. Great. You got any kids? Yeah, sure do. What is it your wife does? And if you're having a conversation, the natural courtesy response is they're going to say, "Hey, Stephen, what is it you do for a living?" And what are you going to say, Stephen? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What are you going to say when somebody says, ask you what you do for a living?
You're breaking up.
What are you going to say to somebody that asks you what you do for a living?
I save money on life insurance and broker. Yeah.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Hold on.
Hang on.
Kenny, can you mute, please?
Holy smoke, man. I thought we were
There
going
we
in the
go.
dark.
Okay.
Woo.
Stephen Lombardo, you should be okay to unmute.
There we go. Thank you, Angela.
There we go.
Okay, so anyway, Stephen was telling everybody, but it was so much feedback that he's a broker. I'm a life insurance broker, right? I represent the top 25 companies in the market. Do you have do you have any life insurance for yourself to cover yourself and your family? First, before I ever get to that, if I found out that he had family and kids, I would say, let me ask you a question: does your wife work? No, she doesn't work. I'm a major, just me. I go, so if something happens to you, and your wife loses your income, what happens to the family finances? That's my number one pitch right there. If I find a guy, the last one was a plumber, worked in my house. He was married with 5 kids. She didn't work because she had to take care of the 5 kids, and he was 100% of the income of that household. Johnny, what's the next thing you're going to say? So if you got her in a job and you couldn't work, what does your finances look like after 30 days of no income? We'd be devastated. Great. That's what I do. You and I need to meet so I can make sure that were to happen, your family and you are protected. You're not going to lose your house and your chance to send your kids to college. Are you available on Wednesday night? I'll be in your area. I mean, it's that simple, guys. It's it may be intimidating, but it's that simple. You guys can do it, but the difference is you have to be passionate about what you're doing. You'll never be able to pull that off, Johnny and Vincent. You'll never be able to pull that off if you think you're a life insurance salesman. You hear me? You won't be able to pull it off because it's going to come off as a sales pitch. You have to be passionate about what we do for a living. See, my mentor told me years ago that you're always going to be a salesman until one of your clients pass away. And then you deliver the death benefit check to the surviving spouse and the kids. And she tells you right there on the doorstep what she did to me. She says, Steve, when you came over to our house that night, my husband says, I don't even want him in the house. I'm not interested in life insurance. I'm not buying any life insurance. So when he comes to the door, get rid of him. And she didn't get rid of me. She let me come in, but he stood up in the other room. Wouldn't even come into the kitchen. And he died 2 months after that. He was a firefighter in a backdraft fire situation in Arizona. And I delivered a check to his wife and his 3 kids on the doorstep of their trailer. And had she sent me away, and had I been intimidated by him not willing to come into the meeting and staying in the room the other day, those kids would not have a house or a future. And she told me that. See, at that point, you realize how important what you do is, and you stop being a salesman. So then I can say, Johnny, let me ask you a question. If something were to happen to you, obviously you come into my house today, you're a plumber, you're a worker, you're a contractor, you could fall down, get hurt on a job. That happens all the time. If you go home, if that happens to you and you lose your income, what happens to your family 30 days after you have no paycheck? He's going to tell you, we'll be devastated. We lose everything we have. Exactly. That's what I do. Let me come out there and talk to you for a few minutes and let you know how you can make sure if that were to happen, you'd be protected and you would not have a loss of income and you would not lose your house and you would still be able to send your kids to college. Is that important to you? Absolutely it is. If it's not, he's not your client. He shouldn't be married and have kids. It comes off completely different when you deliver a death benefit. And I've delivered many. I know Josh has delivered several in his short career. So I want to get I want to take just a few minutes to go back. I know that I've already burned up 20 minutes of our time. Hopefully that was beneficial. But again, I learned how to cut my teeth in this business by working in warm market, asking the right questions. When I'm around somebody, they're in my home, I'm spending my money with them, I have that form type conversation with them. It's casual. It doesn't look like I'm fishing for anything. But I ask them about their family. I ask them about their occupation. I ask them about what they like to do for recreation, fishing, golfing, whatever. I look for things like that. Where's a golfing hat? I know he's a golfer, and we can start talking about the PGA Championship coming up next week. Okay, and then the last thing is a form, FORM, is message. What is your message? Based on the intel you gathered in that conversation about his family, his kids, he's either married or divorced, he's a sole breadwinner or not. You're going to find out if they have life insurance. Many of them don't. And if they do have life insurance, Johnny, they have life insurance from work. They don't own that life insurance. If they get fired from the job, and I know everybody's not going to get fired because in COVID, we all kept our jobs, right? No, we didn't. The federal government shut our jobs down, many of us. Okay, so there goes the life insurance. They need to have life insurance that they own, and they know that now. Okay, so learn that process, and then the leads are in addition to those methods. But the methods I'm talking about right now will keep you making money off your insurance license for the rest of your life. You do not need to have a lead budget. Leads should be, something you mix in with all those other skills that you learned along the way, right? Leads are expensive, right? And leads are not guaranteed. Leads are a permission to call and have a conversation. That's it. There's no guaranteed sale, and you need to set the correct expectations, or you're going to get yourself let down. Many weeks I spent $400 or $500 on leads and got nothing, not even a single appointment. I spent $2,000 on leads last month for Debt Free for Life. I got one sale and it was declined. Many of you would be taken out of business by that. So I'm used to it. I understand that, hey, look, from August until last month, I made over $100,000 in Debt Free for Life. So, okay, the numbers finally came around. I didn't, go ahead, Johnny.
You see how you just said that? You said, you spent $2,000 and somebody would be out of business. How long did it take you to mentally get that mindset where it's like, oh, this is just a part of the business?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. And I will just be honest with you. It's still painful. I was still upset and still mad at myself and angry that I didn't get more out of it. And I'm still calling the leads. I won't give up on them, right? But I learned to trust the system. And because I've had so much success running leads, I know that the numbers always come back, right? They always turn around over. Now, you heard me say before, if you look at leads week to week, it'll take you out of business. Absolutely take you out of business, especially when you're tight for money. If you look at them month to month, it's still questionable. If you look at them by quarter to quarter, every 6 months, annually, you will always make more money than you've ever spent on leads. Always. But it's a good question, Johnny, because when I first came into the leads business 12, 13 years ago, probably longer than that now, I'm getting too old, I can lose the memory. I was doing the same thing. I was actually sitting in Angela's apartment 15 years ago or so. I was just newly divorced, and I was tight on money, and I had a stack of leads like this, right? And I'd call that lead. Back then, the leads were $40, and I would do this. Here goes $40. Come on. How many of you done that? I know yet. You right? And my no, we're all the
There's
same people.
sometimes when you absolutely want to call somebody back and say, do you realize that you were just rude on the phone to me? You hung up. You told me that you never wanted me to call you again. And that cost me $74, lady.
Yeah. For
But
the
you know
record,
you know what? One of the things too, though, that I will add is one of the ways that you get over it is you buy more leads. And I know that that sounds like, okay, what kind of a moron would do that? But that really is you put fresh. It's like Steve was talking about the whole boat scenario. You turn the boat, you motor the boat a little further down the river, right? You go to a fresh spot. I bought leads last week. I bought A leads. I bought A leads and some aged leads. The A leads, I think I bought 4 or 5 on Monday or Tuesday. I think they were all duds. I don't think I even booked an appointment, maybe one. Actually, I did. I booked one appointment off the 4 leads. I wrote a very young couple, not a lot of money in it. And I was starting to get hot on Wednesday. I mean, hot. Like it's not an enjoyable experience, right? So Thursday morning, I walked into my office. I sat down, went back on Integrity, bought 3 more leads, booked the first 2 appointments. I think I booked them within, I don't know, 10 minutes of getting the leads. And the third, wrote both of those, wrote a couple and then wrote a single. So I bought 3 leads, wrote 3 apps, and one, I think I'm meeting with tomorrow night at 7:00. So you cannot look at it lead by lead. You can't, you'll go crazy. You'll go crazy if you look at it that way, because you will constantly be like, you'll just constantly be getting mad. Well, that just cost me $50. That just cost me $7. That was $12. I mean, you'll just go nuts if you try and evaluate it that
it's
way.
a natural human reaction to have
Yeah.
that it really is. But look at if you start a business, day one, you're mad.
Right.
You spend $1 million opening a restaurant or whatever it is, and and you got employees coming in there. You're paying them by the hour. You ain't made no profit, right? So Josh throws his leads away because it's therapeutic. To get right, that's what I'm saying. Law of low numbers will never succeed. But if you trust the process, Johnny, you trust the process. I've always, look, it's the same thing. What Angela was saying was she was not having a great week last week. The last appointment for her, on the last lead of the week, she wrote $5,000. Made the whole week a huge win. That's the way leads work. And it may not be this week, but it may be next week. You just got to stay in the game. It will always turn around as long as you continue to buy new, fresh leads. I don't mean A leads necessarily, but a new batch of leads every single week that makes into the ones you keep. The worst case scenario is, you should tell me, Steve, you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip. I have no idea what that means. But as far as when it comes to leads, is the idea you're going to buy $200 worth of leads. I've had agents fail out of this business with this mentality. I'm not buying any more leads, Stephen, until I make money on these leads. Okay, you're out of business. You're out of business because Josh says it all the time. There may not be any sales in that batch of leads. And if you're stubborn in that respect, you may be out of business. The best practice is buy another batch of leads. Josh, you got any comments about that stuff?
Oh, I think you just nailed it. Is don't get it. I use the term, don't get emotionally attached to your leads just because you're financially invested, right? That's a poor man's view. And what I mean by that is you got to think of the ultimate results in the end game, at the end of the month, not this week, not today. How are you finishing up at the end of the month, right? Sitting up there, it's all the law of large numbers, right? You can't count at what lead from lead, right? When you need leads, you got to buy again. Right? If things are slowing down and dying, it's time to get more, right? And not thinking twice about it. It's those moments that are crucial where you're sitting there going, maybe I'll give it this one extra day out of these leads and sit there. And if you got that hesitation, I'm going to tell you right now, it means you need to buy more. If you have to ask yourself or contemplate it, it means no, I need to buy more, right? It's up there. So it's one of those things is that people try to do it on such a shoestring budget, that it does kind of handicap you a little bit, because you gotta go in, right? Sit up there by leads, because it's a law of large numbers.
Yeah, and it's counterintuitive. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's counterintuitive. When I spent $400 on 10 A leads in Stockton, California, and I didn't get a single person on the phone. This is back when I was living in Angela's apartment, just going through a divorce. I pulled a credit card out, and money back then was tight to buy another 10 leads. It's like, what are you, nuts? You spend $400 on leads, you get nothing for it, you can buy $400 more? Yes, I am, because the law of large numbers will always turn around. You cannot, Josh says it before, and sometimes people get offended, is you cannot fail. If you work in the leads and the right process, and you keep buying leads every week, you will. Look, we get paid
It's
so much money.
impossible.
It's impossible. The great thing about this is that $5,000 a week that Angela had, she'll make about $35,000 to $4,000 of commission, and she spent $400 on leads. Is that a good investment? Everybody raise their hand if they do that every day, all day long. Spend $400, make $5,000. Come on, right? That's what I'm saying. So you have to look at that mentality, Johnny. Is that look? I'm gonna learn this business. I'm gonna stay in the game. You know, if I need to get a side hustle or whatever in order to create a lead budget, I'm willing to do that, because and Shanita knows this. We had a conversation with her earlier. You're building a business here that will feed you and your family for the rest of your life. You just got to give yourself a little bit of slack and give yourself time to learn the business. Johnny, I want you to share with everybody tonight, if you would, what you had going over the weekend, with your family, because I think that's powerful. People understand, that you got to check your family. You got to be in communication with them.
Yeah, one of the things about me, I don't know, I guess when you say, I don't like to be a salesperson, like, at all. So I will sometimes reach out to family like, hey, you got life insurance? Like, you need to have it. But on Friday, like 3 o'clock in the morning, my older cousin was involved in a really bad car accident with an 18-wheeler, and he died, which completely, like, it was completely out of nowhere. So a lot of my family came together, and my Uncle Paul, which is his dad, was like, we need to have a family meeting. Everybody, it's mandatory, needs to have life insurance. So we're like, everybody was like, oh, well, call on me. And so I'm going to go there Wednesday and pretty much talk to everybody about life insurance and, get everybody protected. And it made me feel like, you know what, even though I feel like that, I should be that person that's like, no, and be on them, because like what Steve said earlier, financially, if something's wrong or, this happens unexpectedly, like, how do you bounce back from that? And now everybody's trying to put cash together to cover the funeral. So it definitely is important. 100%.
Well, and you didn't feel, and you're no longer a salesperson. You're now a very important part of the family to give them proper financial advice from a trusted advisor. That's what I'm saying. Once you experience what you just experienced, even though that wasn't your client, it was even worse. It was a family member. Once you experience that, you're no longer a life insurance salesman. You now understand the impact of not having it. And by sharing the impact of not having life insurance because you're passionate about it, because you've gone through this experience, no longer are you a salesman. You're more from a person sharing a message, right? I mean, that's exactly how I feel. When I stood up, I remember a time early in my career where I drove 3 hours in Chico, California, from Sacramento to go on an appointment. I'm standing in the front porch, the guy wasn't there. Wife and 2 kids in our mobile home, Stephen. 2 kids standing there with nothing but diapers on. Wife was standing there with barely any clothes on. You could tell they didn't have any money to speak of. And she says, my husband and I decided we don't need this. So he wasn't home. He left. So I said, is he at work? And she said, yes. I said, may I call him? So I called him. I go, I forget what his name is now. I go, John, I'm at your house, and your wife and kids are standing here in front of me. And she said, you decided not to make our meeting tonight because you decided you didn't need this insurance. He goes, yeah, we decided we don't need it. I go, John, I'm standing in front of your family right now, your wife and 2 kids. You absolutely need this insurance. They're the reason why you need it. He goes, can you wait till I get there? He got back in the car and drove back to the house. I wouldn't have been able to say that as a salesperson. I was able to say it because my dad passed away at age 47 and left my mom hanging with 5 kids and no life insurance. And she struggled her entire life financially, and especially while we were still in our child rearing years. I know the devastating impact for it of not having life insurance. And I told him, I go, these kids and your wife are the very reason why you do need it. You should at least hear me out. And he drove back to the house. That was not a salesperson. That was me being convicted about what I do for a living. And all you guys need to understand that. Get this salesperson thing off your back. I'm happy that Johnny doesn't consider himself a salesperson. I'd rather him not be a salesperson. I'd rather him be a messenger to people that he knows. Look, you got to have some life insurance. You got a wife and kids that depend on your income. Are you not? You're living today. You're alive today, and you want to make sure that your family is taken care of. What about after when you're not here? Isn't our responsibility as fathers and husbands to make sure our family's taken care of while we're here and when we're not? Of course it is. We and I need to get together so I can, because this is what I do, and I can help you. I'm a broker with 25 different companies. What does that mean to you? It means that I do the shopping for you to get the best coverage at the best rate to make sure your family's taken care of. Is that important to you? Yes, it is. Absolutely. I'm going to be in your area. I got another appointment on Tuesday night around 8 o'clock at work. That's the only, if you guys get good at that, you'll never need leads. You can get leads because here's the thing. The reason why I gravitated towards leads, Shanita, is because sooner or later, first of all, warm market and cold market stuff isn't consistent, right? Sooner or later, you're going to go through your warm market. And well, now you need to learn how to ask for referrals. And then, of course, unless you're buying a car or you got your housework all the time, people aren't going to, that cold market is also not going to be consistent. So you mix in leads so you have guaranteed conversation with people. The leads shouldn't be the end all be all to this industry. And it shouldn't be the end all be all for me either with Debt Free for Life. So I learned a lesson. It's just leads are easy, right? They're just easier than going out of our way to talk to people.
I just want to be feeling like they have, I want people to know that it's actually needed, like just as equal to auto insurance. Like you need auto insurance. People wait until their DMV doesn't let them register their car because they don't have auto insurance. Like with life insurance, I feel like people have a choice and they always choose the no route. And so you have to kind of persuade them harder than you would if it was something that is needed for them. Like even when it comes to leads, like when I was calling my leads and they were just kind of hanging up on me or, oh, I'm not interested. It's like that you signed up for this. So I'm confused on, why you're hanging up on me. I'm just trying to give you what you're asking for. So that's where I kind of got like a little.
That was a great response, Shanita. And again, I'm gonna play something before we end tonight that I want you guys to hear because there's a lot of lost opportunities there. In the meeting that we had today amongst the regional managers and whatnot on the Debt Free for Life advisors, we talked about this, and it's a very, very, very simple question that many of you are not asking. When they tell you they're not interested in debt free for life, I mean, in mortgage protection, you need to end the conversation like this. This is all they're doing. And these guys are getting 30, 40, 50% of commission for just asking this question. Once they figure out they're not interested in life insurance, it goes like this. Hey, let me ask you a simple question, Shanita. If we had a program to show you how to pay off your mortgage in half the time or less without having to refinance or any debt consolidation BS, are you opposed to seeing the math? That's simple. Do you know anybody's in debt that wants to be in debt? Do you know anybody that has a mortgage that wouldn't have to pay that mortgage off in a third of the time? Johnny, you're in home sales. If you talk to your clients and say, "Hey, I got a guy. He's a bit of a nut. He's bald-headed guy, but he can show you how to get this 30-year mortgage paid off in 10 years." Are you interested? Would you be interested in seeing how that math works? If they say no, then they're not our client because they're not real bright. No one wants to pay a 30-year mortgage for 30 years. I mean, most everybody wants to get it paid off earlier, right? So that's what I want you guys to get used to. I'll let you hear what that conversation looks like in just a few minutes. But I want to kind of open it up for some questions before we before we move on to that. But that again, those of you who don't have a lead budget, or want to create a lead budget, the average sale in Debt Free for Life is $6,000. Stephen, you get paid on 3,000, and you'll get paid 30% of that number. So you're looking at about $500 to $1,000 to only ask that question. Hey, before I let you go, Johnny, let me ask you a simple question. If we had a program to show you how to pay off your mortgage in half the time or less without having to refinance or any of that debt consolidation BS, are you opposed to seeing the math on that? It's that simple. And that might make you $1,000, and then and that can start creating a nice lead budget. You know, I mean, I'm averaging 5 sales a week. So if you were, and Jeff Robinson has been referring about 5 clients a month. So you know, on average, he's being paid between $500 and $1,300 a client. That's a big deal for not doing any of the work. Okay, so anybody got any questions or any comments?
I do.
Move on.
So would you be open? Because again, I meet a lot of clients like every single day, and sometimes I can't really like speak about it the way I want to, because I kind of feel like I don't know enough. But what you just said was like great. But would you be open to doing like a YouTube video where I can show the clients, where you can kind of give like an overview, but not the full presentation?
I have one. I've done several of them actually. I will send it to you, Johnny. If anybody else wants it, let me know. I'll put the link in the text.
Perfect.
I've done several of them because I sent them out too.
Yeah. So today I actually got a contract with like 30,000, like a hospital, like 30,000 employees. So anybody that's looking to move to the upstate South Carolina area, they're all going to come through me. And I just feel like to be able to offer that value of being able to pay their home off really fast, I think that would be like super cool. So
yeah,
if you could send that, that would be perfect.
That's a good question. Thanks for bringing that up. I do have those. I've done several of them. In fact, I do one on my Instagram. I do one on my Instagram channel too. It's a little bit of a teaser. I'll send the link to that too.
There's a simple thing to do too that I mean, everybody has Facebook, right? Okay, you have a business, you have a business Facebook account or just personal? Okay, here's what I put literally every day on my local business listing where you can post your business for free. You don't have to pay for anything like ads. Hey, you know, Palmer Families, which is where I live. If I could show you a way to eliminate your debt without spending any more money than you're already currently spending monthly, would you be interested in having a conversation? Put your name and your phone number on there, and you wouldn't believe how many people you get, you know, just like that. Yeah, I mean, what's everybody have? 400 or 500 friends on Facebook, maybe more or less, whatever. But even if you put it in the public posting, like your local, you know, they always have like business pages or whatever, your local community that, you know, like where I live in Easton, they have, you know, everything Easton page. It's, you know, pictures of the city, whatever, but you can post your stuff like that. Simple stuff like that takes 2 seconds. Just draw up interest and people have questions, and before you know it, you know, that can be, you know, like you said, that's free leads right there.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing with all of this is when you're talking to leads, whether you're talking to your warm market, whether you're striking up a conversation with your cold market or clients that you meet, or putting a post up on Facebook, you know, is really 2 things. And the first one is being consistent. You have to do it every day. You're not going to, it's kind of the parable of, you know, faith of a mustard seed. You're not going to see, you can't check it every 5 seconds to see if, you know, your bank balance has changed. You're going to have a bit of a runway where you can let some of these things germinate and continue to do them. People always ask, well, why, you know, you have a great response, or you always have great comebacks, or Steve has a great pitch line. Because we've just done it for so long and we never stopped. And that's really the trick. It's over and over and over and over and over again. Steve's always having those conversations when we're out in public. He's always talking to the guy when we stop to look at a car on a car dealership lot. Oh, that looks like a good looking car. Let's just stop. And somebody will come out and he'll strike up a conversation. When people come over to the house, We had somebody over at the house this morning delivering rock. Sure enough, Steve was in the front yard having a conversation with him. He doesn't pick and choose who he's going to have the conversation with. You can't say, well, what if this person doesn't need it, or I don't know if this person is really my client. Who cares? You've got to have the consistency, and you've got to just keep doing it over and over and over and over again. It's no different than anything that you've ever tried to do. The first time that you did it, you probably did it pretty poorly. The 10th time you did it, you probably did it pretty well, right? So that's the secret, is the consistency of doing it over and over again and continuing to use that same, just keep doing it, and you'll find that you get better at it. I did, and I'll end with this. I was back in August or September. I was helping Steve make dials to his Debt Free for Life leads. Holy cow! It was a totally different script. It was something I had never done before. I was only there to try and book an appointment, or only there to verify information. It was unlike everything that I do in mortgage protection. Oh my God. I sat here for must have been 45 minutes before I called the first one. Then it was an hour before I called the second one. And I must have been in his office 10 times. Like, okay, wait. So how do I say this part? And he was like, "Oh my God, just read the script. Just read the script. Read the script. Just read the script." And it was a reminder to me what it feels like when you're not in practice at doing this, or you're just not used to it, right? You only get used to it, you only get comfortable with it by doing it over and over and over and over and over again. That's the only way. And if you're looking for like a shortcut, like, oh, just give me a sheet with all the answers of what to say to people when they have an objection, it doesn't exist. Like I told Shanita on Friday, I can't tell you what the response is going to be to every objection, because there's a gazillion objections out there. So,
but what I will say, let me just add to that real quickly, is we fully expect and expect of you, when you're going through that process, don't sit there and struggle through your leads.
right.
At the end of a dial session, pick up the phone and call us, Angela or myself, preferably Angela, because she's in the game in mortgage protection more than I am right now. I'm doing debt free for life stuff more than, almost exclusively, and say, here's what I got. Here's how I handled it, or how should I handle it. That's how we learn. That's why the team aspect works so well. Otherwise, you might as well just do it yourself. I mean, the idea of having a team is that you have people that have gone before you. I'm looking at Josh's production. Anybody watching band? He was just on here, bounced on a call with us and shared with us for a few minutes. So he's already written, was it 3 sales? 3 sales, one for 696, one for 186, one for 1200, and then had time to get on the call. And now he left because he's got another appointment. Folks, that's $3,000 in AP tonight. How do you want to do that? I mean, all you have to do is work a couple nights a week. But you got to. He didn't start out that way. Josh was a door-to-door meat salesman. He had no insurance background. He went through the same training with I worked with Josh through the answers side by side for a year. And he's now an elite producer. All of you guys can do that, but just utilize the team. Ask the questions. Call after a dial session. And going back to what Angela said earlier, sometimes it's therapeutic, Stephen. Connor Jones does this. When someone's rude to him on the phone, he'll call him back. Say, look, I'm only calling you because you asked me, you sent this form in. There's no reason to be rude. You'd be surprised how many people he turns around. Don't be subservient. No, I'm not saying you gotta be rude and get in an argument with them. But I've called back some of Angela's clients and said, "You realize that's my wife? She's just doing her job. You don't have to be rude. Don't let them get away with that nonsense. They ask for the information. We're not scammers here. We're professionals licensed by the state."
Rocio,
you send this form in.
I was trying to add. Sorry, I thought you were finished.
Go ahead. I'm done. Yeah, go ahead.
Rocio, your background looks good. I think that's a good background, but you
Yeah.
got to close the blinds.
Yeah, close the blinds. It's blowing you out a little bit.
Because the bright light from the blinds blows out it ends up, it's too bright behind you. Close the blinds, but I like it with the bookshelf and the computer, And Shanita, I like yours. Kenny, yours looks good. Johnny's was good, but Johnny had to turn his camera off.
My only caution with Kenny is, and you heard me say this before, is you're going to be following Equis agents. And as soon as they identify themselves as Equis and they see that sign in the background, they're ignorant. They're not ignorant in a negative way. They believe that if that one Equis salesperson, we all sell the same products. There's nothing you can tell them that the other Equis salesman didn't tell them. And it's not true, right? Because we don't know who that agent was contracted with. We don't know who their mentor is, what products they suggested. I mean, so it's not true, but they don't see it that way. They think it's one, if you work for a Chevy dealership, all you sell are Chevys.
And Equis, in this situation, Equis is completely irrelevant to the client. Your client has zero interaction with Equis. They are never going to have any interaction with Equis. If they don't like the job that you do, Equis doesn't care. It's not Equis's responsibility. It's the carrier's responsibility. If you mislead the client, or if you do something you're not supposed to do, or say something you're not supposed to do, Equis is just a portal for you to get contracted with carriers and report your business and that kind of thing. So it becomes something that it kind of makes it relevant to the client when it's not relevant to the client when we talk about that. I never say I'm with Equis. Nobody ever knows that I'm with Equis because it's not relevant to my clients. My clients, what's relevant is I'm going to build a relationship for you, Steve Houston, with Mutual of Omaha. I'm going to put protection in place for you with Mutual of Omaha, and I'm going to be your point person with Mutual of Omaha. That's basically what's going to happen, or GPM or Foresters or whoever. So that's the only thing I would caution you. When people ask, this is something you're also going to get when you're making lead outs.
I mean, I would just look to change it eventually with something else, but just keep that in mind. But if you're going to have that, make sure you let them know that I'm a broker.
Right. When people ask,
Wizard of Oz.
Say again.
This is kind of like the Wizard of Oz. This is a curtain covering some stuff. When virtual started, this is what I got real quick.
Yeah.
I've got a completely different computer setup behind me. So
cool.
I'm not showing that. It's an unfinished shop and garage.
Yeah. We in our office we have Equis all over the place too. So I just be aware that the people sometimes don't understand who we are.
If I started showing you behind here, it's kind of a curtain.
There you go.
Sometimes people are going to ask you, "Oh, what company are you with?" That's another one. I don't tell them I'm with Equis because it's not relevant.
I know the answer.
Steven.
Go ahead, Steven.
I work for you, the client. That's it. I'm not working for any carriers unless it's somebody that you get approved with. And I work with multiple carriers, and I'm here to work for you, not for anybody else. That's what you tell them.
Vincent, that's a rider downer. I mean, exactly. I tell I've always used that to my strength. What that means to you, Vincent, is that I'm not akin to any of these carriers. What I do is I take your information and I shop it to all my carriers. I got 20, 25 carriers. I find the best rate with the best product based on your medical conditions, so you don't have to. It's exactly what I tell all my clients. I don't owe any of these companies anything. I'm a broker. I'm working for you. I'm like the Home Depot. I got there's 25 different items here. I'm going to do the shopping for you, so you get the best price, best product based on your medical need, your medical condition, and your needs. Fair enough? And they all go, "Oh, that's great. That's great," because no one ever tells them that. They all think that they're working for Mutual Omaha or they're working for whatever, Meritons or Merico, whatever it is. That's a good one, Stephen. So that's a ride down for Vincent because Vincent's brand new.
Everybody's heard of Expedia, right? So just say, hey, look, I'm like the travel company like Expedia. You go in, punch in what you want, and you go with the best airline, the best hotel, the best like that. That's whatever you qualify for. You're not gonna just go with one company unless you're captive, which that's a totally different story. But that's not us. We're independent. We work with multiple carriers and stuff like that, and that's all you got to really explain to them is we're going to go with whoever you qualify for first of all, and whatever fits your budget, and go from there.
Yeah, Angela, Shanita, And she has a
She-
question about when you get for. I can't think about that far back. It's
You know what? I don't
I'm-
remember. I remember being a few days, like I dialed for a couple of days before I got my first appointment. It was like I didn't go a week or a month. It wasn't that long. But uh if you have purchased leads, here's the thing. If you have 25 leads or 50 leads, somewhere in that range, we'll say up to 50 leads. Once you get those leads, you should sit down and dial through all of them. If you ended up in a situation where somebody really stumped you, like Chinita, there were a couple of where somebody asked you a question or had a response that you weren't really sure how to handle in the
Yeah.
moment, then stop, shoot Steve and I a text, and we'll get back to you. But you've got to sit down and hammer through them. You got to get through all of them, and that kind of goes to Johnny's question about how long before you stop following up. If you are dialing your leads on the phone or texting your leads on text, you should be working that same stack of leads every day for at least 5 or 6 days, at least. And if you're dialing, I would dial them in the morning and I would dial them in the afternoon and the evening, because people are at work and sometimes people can't answer their phones. So if you have time in the morning, dial them in the morning. If you have time, and then when the evening comes along, double dial them again. People say, "Oh my God, people are they're gonna, I'm just gonna be barraging them." No, at some point they're gonna answer the phone because they're gonna want to know, who is this person calling me so much, right? Or you're going to finally catch them at a time where they can answer your phone.
I
So,
think that's the hard part for me though, is that I don't like to feel like I'm blowing a person up or I'm like being annoying. Just because I feel like, for example, my warm markets. These are people that, as I talk to them like during my Lyft rides, I told them I do life insurance. Oh, and they said, "Oh, I would love for you to come and talk to me." And then when I reach out, they're not responding, they don't answer my call, they don't text back, they're ignoring my calls. At that point, I'm like, well, that's something that you were interested in. So why do I feel like I have to basically, don't get me wrong, like I don't mind doing it, but I feel like I'm going the extra mile to like almost harass you to get it, versus this is something that you need. This is something that's going to help you. So if you're not interested, you're not interested. So I feel like I should just move on to the next person, But you're saying to keep calling the people over and over again. That's the hard part for me, is like,
so separate in your mind and literally leads from like warm or cold market, like your clients, your Lyft clients, the guy who comes to your home to repair something. That's cold market, right? Warm market is your people that your family, your friends, whatever. And then you have leads. So leads, I couldn't care two rips, and Steve's probably gonna get mad at me after the call about this, but I couldn't give two rips if a lead that I paid money for, that filled out a form, that sent it in, that can't either respond to a text or answer the phone. And I've called them 4 times a day for 6 days. If they answer the phone and they're like, "Why do you keep calling me?" I don't care. That's if you're upset, that's on you. You should have answered the first time I called and not waited for the 12th time that I called. That's on you, buddy. So I don't care. And here's the mindset, and that the red letter language book that Steve has is also really good for that. But the mindset there, Chinita, I'll be really honest with you. If I bought a lead and I have a stack of leads to call and I'm calling them 4 times a day, what's always in front of my mind, even as hard as it is sometimes, is, do you care more about blowing their phone up, or whether or not at the end of the week your kid's going to have food on the table?
Well, yeah, it's more than that. Again, you're looking at it from a salesperson's perspective. They don't know what you know. They don't know.
Right.
They don't know, right? They look at you like you're selling Kirby vacuum cleaners.
Yeah.
Right? You're selling cars, or you're selling your door-to-door meat salesman, or your door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman. They don't look at this as like life-changing life insurance. They don't see it that way. That's your job. You have to be passionate enough to say, "I get it. You're not interested." Like I did that guy that didn't come into the room. I go, "Look, I understand you're not interested. This is not about you. This is an intangible. It's you're never going to see the benefits of you buying life insurance, but they will. Your kids and your wife will. This is about them. It's not about you. You fill this form out for a reason. Are you telling me that you're not interested in making sure your family's protected in the event that you don't come home tomorrow, and neither does your paycheck? Is that what you're saying? Because I mean, to be clear, I don't want to try to convince you to meet with me, but most people I talk to are very interested in making sure that their family's protected while they're here today, and also if they don't come home tomorrow, tragically. So that's what you got to take that salesperson's hat off. See, I think you perceive yourself as a salesperson, Anita, and you're not a salesperson.
It's hard because I actually don't. I've never been in sales ever before because I've always been in the call center world. So people just call my phone and they know exactly what they want. I help them what they want, and then it's simple. So it's hard to transition a little bit to sales because I feel like this is what one team let me help you. If not, then next person. Like that's what I want. But it's like in the videos that I watch you guys say, and you guys are responding to me, and you guys tell me, and all the quotes and all the paperwork I have, it says call them 4 times, call them, and it's like, like that's the hard part for me. It's like how do I turn that part on? Like, okay, I got to keep calling you, calling you, and I don't mind getting the rejection part. I just feel like I'd rather get the rejection than to keep blowing your phone up and no response.
Let me tell you something, because on all transparency, and you won't hear me say this on our monthly. Is I'm the same way. I hate the phones. I hate calling leads. I just hate it. When somebody says you got to dial them 3 times, I cringe. I mean, because I just don't want to do that, right? So here's my defense: is if that's the way it is, then fine. You're gonna have to buy more leads, and you're gonna have to be looking for the low hanging fruit. Rather than hammer that. I mean, I listen to Angela. Angela can beat the crap out of somebody. If she thought her grandmother wanted to buy life insurance, she'd call her 25 times. I mean, I've seen Angela triple 4 times the lead and just call them until they scream, "Please don't call me anymore." She has no issues with it. Their nerves don't even rise. See, to me, I'm going, oh, man, I hate people do that to me. I don't want to do that. So I might be just taking all you out of business. I'm just saying that I don't feel comfortable with doing that either. So I buy more leads, and I do the same thing with Debt Free for Life. I'll text them and say, "Hey, I just tried to give you a call. I'm calling to make sure that I follow up with you as you requested. I don't want to chase you, but I do want to follow up with you professionally. So is this something that you want for you and your family to make sure they're protected in the event you do not come home?" See, I'll snowflake it and I'll text them versus saying that on the phone. Because I'm a lot like you, Janita. You can still succeed. Just find a way that you can communicate. If you don't want to text them, if you don't call them, then text them. If try. Angela will tell you my best strength in Debt Free for Life is that we have a CRM, so I can call the lead or I can text the lead, and I rarely call. I let Angela call because she has no whatever. She has no class.
No class.
She doesn't have no class. So she
I
has no
just
problem
remind
with me.
myself
I'll
now.
text them.
I'm not that way with people. I am not as aggressive with people that I know that I work with. And Shanita, there was something else that I wanted to add. Steve, a long time ago, I think somebody pulled this on him, was a response to him years ago. And then Steve started using it, and now I use it. And it's a response for when you're dealing with either your cold market or your warm market. So people that you know or people that you've met that have said, "Oh, I would be interested in talking to you about that," and then they ghost you. So here's my last text message to them or voicemail, and I'll say something like this: "Listen, Shanita, you had said that you were interested in this, but I want to follow up, but I don't want to chase you, and I feel like I'm chasing you right now. So if it's something that you would like my help with, because obviously this is something that you need, please get back in touch with me." And a lot of times what it'll do is it'll kind of spur somebody to send you a message back like, "Oh gosh, sorry, I've been dealing with family stuff," or whatever. But I've always loved that statement. I want to follow up with you, but I don't want to chase you. Like, I don't want to, I don't have to dog you, right? So with your warm market or your cold market, it's a great line. Listen, Janita, I've called you a bunch of times. I want to follow up, but I don't want to chase you. And then continue on with the rest of your
My
message.
point is, Shanita, is
Oh yeah, there you go.
do whatever you feel comfortable with. If you don't want, I mean, it is true that triple dialing a lead is you have better chance of getting a hold of them than not, because they think it's an emergency. If my phone rings 3 times the same number, I think someone's dying, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it works. And so I would try that. You can get more or buy more leads and just only look for the low hanging fruit, the ones that say, and then text the other ones. Say, hey, listen, I'm only calling because you requested the information, right? Okay.
I just
So
try to think of things of my point, because if someone called my phone after the second time or the third time and I see that it's the same number, I just block them. I just
most
put them
people
right
do.
to the block list, you know? So I don't want to be blocked. I want to just be told no. That's all. If you're not interested, just say no and I'll move on and I'll stop bothering you. But you know, you
Or
have to
like
have
the A lead that I called today that I also double dialed, and when she answered the phone, she was in the ladies' room, but I still booked the appointment. But that's why she answered the phone, because I double dialed her.
I mean, I have fun with it. You can call my phone 99 times straight in 10 minutes. If I don't recognize a number, I will never answer it. I don't care who it is. I will never answer it. So I'm not a good candidate. I just won't. If you're not on my contact list, I'm not answering. So the only way to communicate with me that way, then, it would be texting. Because I read, that's the thing, is most people read every single text. So I've got really good at generating a conversation with people via Debt Free for Life on text, and set the stage for the appointment. So just pick your medium and go with it. There's no right or wrong. It's just, you are going to get more people on the phone by acting as if the house is on fire. If you don't have a problem with it. Let me just share this with you real quick before we go, because we're running late.
They're just trying to be belligerent, or they are just completely a moron. They'd like to pay off their mortgage quicker if they could. That's the big thing. They'd like to if they could. They might not be able to. There might be other issues that prevent them from doing it, but they want to be able to do that. And I get it. I've got my agents that come to me the same thing. Hey, I wrote 6 apps last week and nobody wants to pay off their mortgage. John, I know you tell me to watch my mouth. I'm going to say it real quick. That is absolute bullshit. There's not another word for it. Do not tell me that you're working with people that are so in love with their lenders that they need to make sure that if every other person pays off their mortgage, your one client would do whatever the heck they could to keep that lender in business. They'd start the 30 years over again. No, they wouldn't. So I get messages all the time, and I don't know how to share I don't know how to share the screen. Here, I'm going to show you guys real quick if I can. Here is, I took a screenshot of my text from Rick. This is, if you look, Thursday last week. Some guy that is, you'll see it on there. No sale. Wants to see the math, currently paying $400 extra per month on his mortgage. That guy's scheduled for tomorrow. The guy after that, no sale, wants to see the math. The guy after that, no sale, wants to see the math. These are people that are willing to have that conversation, even though they didn't move forward with any mortgage protection. Even though that's not something that they wound up doing, they still were just willing to have a conversation. And the reality is this: we're talking to people day in and day out. And I can tell you right now, if you are running, let's round it way down. Let's say you're only running 2 appointments a day. Let's say you're part-time and you're seeing 2 appointments per day. I promise you 50% of the people that you're talking to are willing to have a conversation. They're not against seeing the math on paying down their mortgage in half the time or less. So very simple thing is, every human being that he talks to, whether they are a sale, whether they are someone that tells him to go pound sand, nicely or not nicely, Rick asks them a very simple follow-up question. And guys, feel free to use this if you want, because it's what Rick uses. Conversation is very simple. It's, hey, let me just ask you one question. If they say, I'm not interested in mortgage protection, fair enough. hey, if we had a program that could show you how to pay off the mortgage in half the time or less, are you opposed to seeing the math? Really, 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 really simple question.
Yeah.
Hey, if we had a program to show you how to pay off the mortgage in half the time or less, are you opposed to seeing the math? We're trying to get them to say, yes, I am against seeing the math on how to pay off my mortgage early. Because as soon as somebody says that, they're either lying just to be a jerk, or they're an idiot. And whichever one of those it is okay, but that's a person we're not going to waste any time on.
Yeah.
Because again.
Okay, so that makes sense, guys. If you want me to put that video in the text stream so you have it, I will do that. Does that help? I just think that many of you can be making a lot of money with a referral program. I have a full. If you need that link, put it in the text. I have a full little four section how to refer video your clients to debt-free for life advisor Steve Houston series. My calendar's there. All that stuff. So but from that point, he says, he said, I'd like to see the math and go right to my calendar and book the appointment for whatever night that they're available based on my calendar. And I'll run the appointment. If they go with it, which about 90% of mine do, I have a pretty high closing ratio. No, I'm not patting myself on the back, but people, look, here's the bottom line. It's not a tough sale. 88% of the Americans are in debt. We have $1 trillion in debt and credit cards for the first time in history of the United States right now. The average American will pay $300,000 in interest in their lifetime. The number one stress anybody could ever possibly be in is debt stress. It destroys marriages, it destroys relationships with family, and it kills. So it's not complicated. It's not, to ask people that question and save somebody's life, or just from a stress standpoint. If they say yes, say, I'm not the specialist. However, I'm going to help you out real quick. Let me go to his calendar and see what he has available. What night's good for you, Johnny? Tuesdays and Thursdays, great. Let me see what he has. He's got 7:30 Thursday night. Would that work? Fantastic. Now look, you're going to get a little text on this appointment. Go ahead and confirm that. And there'll be some more documentation that you'll have before the appointment so that you're ready for that appointment on Thursday night. 15 to 30 minutes. What they'll do is they'll go through the program, give you kind of. Oh, by the way, Johnny, maybe I didn't say this before. There's nothing to buy here. It's a free program. They're not going to try to sell you anything because it's a free program. Never any charge for the advisor or for the program. So we can help you. Great. If we can't, great. Fair enough. Okay. Thursday night, 7:30. You got to be using that because people think you're trying to sell them debt consolidation, debt forgiveness, whatever. Okay. It's not a debt consolidation program. It's not a debt forgiveness program. It's a debt elimination program. They have to be current on their bills and spending either already paying more than the minimums, $2, $3, $4, $5 a month. The average is $5, or have the ability to do so. They continue to make the minimum payments, and we help them use the extra cash they're currently spending more effectively to pay off those debts faster using a modified snowball approach. So it's simple, and you can earn thousands of dollars in a referral program. I hate to keep hitting it, but I know many of you guys are struggling to have a lead budget, and I can help you with that by running those appointments for you. You don't need to be present. So I'll put that link in the text stream tonight. Any last minute questions before we wrap it up? I'm again 10 minutes late. I apologize, guys. Share the link. Okay, I'll do that. I'll put it in the text stream.
So Steve, I find myself when I'm actually texting, it's taking me so much longer than when I actually dial. And then I'm using my tablet to text, and then sometimes the messages are not going through. So I find myself having to pick up the phone and then just make a dial. And then when I'm getting a hold of some people, they're just like, why you keep calling me? I've already gotten so many calls. I'm just not interested, and move on. So my struggle here is one, I'm texting as an actual attempt to just kind of reach out at that approach. I'll text like in the morning. I get up at 5:30. I go into work. I leave to go to work at 7. So I'm at work at 8, and then I don't get home till like almost 2. So I'm trying to find the best way to just approach the situation where I don't have to waste any time. Just go straight dialing, and then just dial from like 1:30 to like 3:30 and figure that out. But when do I do an actual attempt without having to waste time texting. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm just going to be honest with you. And I'll tell you what Josh will tell you. If you're texting, if you're taking longer to text than you would to dial, then you're doing it the wrong way. Josh is a machine, and so is Angela. They cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste. All they're doing is changing out the first name, and they're just firing these text messages off. So I would work in the process.
So are you guys not including any of the information about the mortgage lender?
No, I never did.
Just the name and move forward?
Just the lender.
The name and the lender. The first name.
Do you have the text bit that's on band, Rosia, that we worked up with Josh? Don't use Equis.
And
then also the lender that you put in there. So that's why I feel like it's
right,
just
but you're only going to send, if you have, okay, here's an example. On Monday, if I have 25 new leads, okay, then I'm going to go back and I'm going to find a text message that I have sent to somebody else last week. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to change the name of the person from Rocio to Angela. And I'm going to change the name of her lender from Wells Fargo to Bank of America. And I'm going to leave everything else the same, the times that I'm available. Send that message. Then then enter in the next phone number, paste, change the name, change the lender. On Monday, my texting is going to take me a little bit longer because I've got to change the name, change the lender.
Okay.
So then if you send those at I don't know if you can do it at work or you're doing it before work, you can do it at 7 or 7:30. You know, if you can do it between 7 and 7:30, then do that before you go to work. And then every 2 hours, you should be sending the updated times text, which has no personalization in it.
Okay.
It doesn't say, hi, Mary. It doesn't say the name of the lender. It's just, hi, here are the updated times for today. Send it every 2 hours. Okay. And then on Tuesday, when you get up and at 7 o'clock, you should be able to go back to that same phone number. You should be able to go back to the same 50 people that you texted on Monday morning and just copy the message, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste.
Okay, got it.
Because you're resending the exact same message. It should only take you longer the first day of new leads because you have to change the name, change the lender.
Okay. All right. And so how do I know when I'm blocked? Do I actually see anything on my phone that maybe the text message isn't going through?
It's either not going through because you're blocked or it's not going through because it's a landline phone.
Okay.
And you won't know.
And you won't know until you try and call.
Okay.
If you call somebody and it doesn't ring, it just goes immediately to voicemail, and you do that 2 or 3 times, you double dial them, then there's a good chance they have you blocked. Whatever.
That's what
Move on. Yeah.
Okay.
But sometimes you'll get people that will put down a landline phone number, and your text is not going to go through because it's a house phone.
Guys, listen, don't overthink this texting stuff, okay? Because, I mean, Angela does texting and dialing. She does more texting than she does dialing, but she's very, very, very good dialing. She led the DCC live dial calls for a long time. For a while, the entire company was on our live dial calls. So these guys know what they're doing. So do whatever is comfortable. Yes, Johnny. We have one. The Equis has live dials on. Actually, it's not really Equis. It's Cornerstone. John Kite's group. Saturday mornings. I'll send you the link if you don't already have it. They don't do live dials daily anymore, which we used to do years ago, but they do them on Saturdays. But again, do whatever you feel comfortable with. Josh will never go back to dialing. Angela does both. Angela's philosophy is the same as mine. Resolve the lead. You paid for it.
Right.
I mean, when I was trained, I would dial, I would text, and then I'd get in the car and go knock on the door because I was working local leads, local within 3 hours. So you paid for it, resolve it. And so, that's how you have to kind of approach it. But the last thing I want to say, Rosie, is this: is both Angela and Josh and many other people. I know Angela on many occasions. She'll text somebody for 6 months and suddenly they respond. 6 months later.
I had an A lead. I had an
Never
A
know.
lead do that to me over the weekend. I had been texting and texting and oh my God. And no, it wasn't over the weekend. It was last week. And then all of a sudden, he said, he texted back something. I hadn't gotten any response for like a week. And then all of a sudden, again, you know, you and I, like Steve and I, it's very rare that a text is going to sneak past us because we're constantly on our phones, unfortunately, constantly. When the text goes off, because we don't know if it's one of you or an agent or a client or whatever, we typically reach for our phones. I don't have a lot of unread texts on my phone. But there are people that, you know, this particular guy, he drove a cement truck for a living. He's got 2 little kids. He's all on his own. He's not in good health. He's not getting a whole lot of text messages. So once a week, when he's got 5 minutes and he's sitting on the couch watching the game, he's scrolling through his phone and he finds the text. So you've got to, that's why, like, I know Chinita, her thing, you know, I know that was a thing about over working your text or sending too many. You don't know what kind of phone they have. You don't know when they're going to see the text. You don't know how busy they are or what they're dealing with in their lives. So as opposed to leaning towards, well, I don't want to bother them.
Right.
I will say this in closing, because you got to get me in a lot of trouble here with some of these people. The call is 45 minutes to an hour. We've got an hour and 15 minutes. I don't mind being on for 3 hours if it helps you guys. But I don't want you just tell me next week, you know, the call is too long, I'm not going to participate. Okay, we're here to help you guys. But if you need to leave, you're welcome to go ahead and leave. I will also say this. Remember, life insurance is an event-based business. What do I mean by that? Johnny had an event take place in his family this past weekend, and guess what? They're all interested in life insurance now because of the event that took place in their life insurance. You never know. COVID proved that. During COVID, life insurance was the #1 Google search term for 2 years. Life insurance was sexy. Everybody wanted it during COVID. Why? Because people were dying. So you just got to make sure that your phone number is out there and you're the last person the first person they remember was when that event takes place. It could be death. It could be car accident, whatever. It could be a marriage. It could be somebody's a new dad who wants to make sure they can send the kid to college. You never know. So never give up. I'm not saying you should dial. You should text that person every day, Rocio, but I would certainly never stop. Maybe you go from for the first 2 weeks you follow the Josh and Angela's texting script. And then once a month you reach out to them. And then once every 6 months you reach out to them. You never know. I had a client last week, Debt Free for Life. They've been in my text stream since August of last year. Popped last week, in the middle of the week. She goes, "My husband and I are ready to meet with you next week." Out of nowhere. You just never know. People are busy.
Yeah.
So a lead is never dead. Never dead.
All right. Thank you.
So yeah, if you want to be on the call sessions on Saturday, I posted the link. It's the same time every week. It's a wide open call, so you're welcome to join it. If you want to hear other people dial the phones, that's great. Just remember, use a shopping cart approach. If they're doing something on that call that doesn't sound like something that we're doing here, ask questions. Not because you need our approval, you don't. But there's also some fly-by-night people that do, that are teaching things that don't really work on a call because they want to hear themselves talk. So if run by us if you want. That's what we're here for. Appreciate you guys. And anybody else got any last minute questions? But otherwise, we're going to hang up, let you guys go to bed.
So that Saturday link, you sent it already on band? Or
No, I put it in a text stream.
Text here? Okay.
It should be on your text. If you didn't get it, Rosie, you let me know. I'll get it back to you.
Okay.
Shanita, call us tomorrow. Let's talk.
Okay, I sure will.
Okay. Text both of us so we can find a time that we can talk things out and see how you're doing.
You guys are my best friends at this point. I text you every day.
Yeah, well, let's see. That's what they're here for. We want to be best friends for life. We want you to make money off the relationship, though. That's the thing. So let us help you out. We're free. We work for food. Steven, have a good night, buddy. Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, Vincent.
Night, everyone.
Night.
Appreciate your patience tonight. Sorry it took so long, but hopefully it's of value. I'll post this replay in the text in case you want to go back to some of the material. A lot of great stuff tonight. Rosie, I'm going to send you a call that we did with Josh, where he went step by step on how he multitasked on that texting Angela was talking about. We did a whole call on it, and I'll send it to you.
Okay, thanks so much. All right, thanks.
Bye bye. Good night. Appreciate you guys. See you, Vincent. See you, Kenny.